If you had 100 birds, which would give you more money, 100 layers or 100 Sasso? The answer may surprise you. Instead of just giving an opinion, I decided to show you the real numbers. In this video, I'll take you through 4 different situations using my Poultry Pro Planner. That's an Excel file I use for planning and estimating profits in poultry farming. By the end, you will know which bird is more profitable in each situation, and you can pick the one that fits you best. Let's start with the first farmer, James. He wants to raise 100 birds in a deep litter system. He uses the cheapest type of commercial feed. By cheapest, I don't mean store-bought feed. I mean feed that's mixed from concentrates and grains that can be bought cheaply during harvest time. Now, if James goes with 100 layers, I enter his details into the Poultry Pro Planner for layers. This Excel file needs things like feed prices, chick cost, labor, the egg price, the value of the spent hens at the end of laying, etc. Once all that is in, the summary shows that layers give about 59% profit over 1.5 years. In simple words, if James puts in $100, he gets his $100 back plus $59 extra as profit. This money comes from selling eggs during the laying period and selling the old hens at the end. Now let's check the same 100 birds, but this time James raises Sasso for eggs in the same deep litter system with the same feed. I switch to the Poultry Pro Planner for dual-purpose birds. This tool automatically uses standard numbers for how much Sasso eat and how many eggs they lay. After entering the same costs and egg price, the summary shows a small loss of almost 2% over 1.5 years. That means James would lose about $2 for every $100 he invests. This happens because Sasso eat more feed and lay fewer eggs compared to layers. But what if James raises the Sasso for meat instead of eggs? In the planner, I remove the egg price so the tool understands it's for meat production. It recalculates and shows a profit of almost 20% for one batch of 4 months. If James raises 5 batches in 1.5 years, the total profit becomes about 99.5%. In other words, for meat, Sasso almost doubled the money in this system, but for eggs, they don't make a profit. Now let's move to the second farmer, Dan. He raises 100 Sasso in a semi-free range system. This means he gives them only half of the commercial feed and they get the other half from the free range. Layers stay in deep litter with commercial feed because they are not good for free range, so their profit remains the same as before, about 59% over 1.5 years. For Dan's Sasso, I use the Poultry Pro Planner for dual-purpose birds. I enter the feed prices, chick cost, labor, egg price, mature bird price, etc. The tool calculates everything automatically. For egg production, the summary shows about 79.5% profit over 1.5 years. This means if Dan invests $100, he makes about $79.50 in profit. Next, let's check meat production. I set the egg price to 0 so the tool knows it's only for meat. The summary shows a profit of a little over 103% for one 4-month batch. If Dan raises 5 batches over 1.5 years, the total profit becomes about 516.5%. In simple words, if he invests $100, he can make more than $500 profit in that time. So in this semi-free range system, Sassos do well with eggs, but they do extremely well with meat. Now let's look at my own setup. I raise 100 birds in a deep litter system, but instead of buying commercial feed, I make my own feed at home. My homemade feed costs about half the price of the cheapest commercial feed in my area. First, let's check the layers. Using the Poultry Pro Planner for layers, I enter the feed prices, chick cost, labor, egg price, the value of the spent hens, etc. The summary shows about 168% profit over 1.5 years. This means if I invest $100, I get my money back plus an extra $168 as profit. Clearly, making your own feed increases profits a lot compared to buying commercial feed. Now let's check the Sasso in the same deep litter system with homemade feed. Using the Poultry Pro Planner for dual-purpose birds, I first look at egg production. After entering feed prices, chick cost, labor, egg price, bird value, etc., the tool shows about 79.5% profit over 1.5 years. Even though this is not bad, it's still less profitable than layers because Sasso eat more feed and lay fewer eggs. Next, I switch to meat production by setting the egg price to 0. The tool recalculates and shows a profit of a little over 103% for one 4-month batch. Over 1.5 years, with 5 batches, the total profit becomes about 516.5%. That means $100 invested can return more than $500 profit. So in this scenario, layers are better for eggs, but Sassos are much better for meat. Finally, let's look at Peter's setup. He raises 100 Sasso in a semi-free range system, but instead of commercial feed, he gives them 50 50% homemade feed and lets them get the other 50% from free range. Layers, on the other hand, stay in deep litter with homemade feed, so their profit remains the same as before, about 168% over 1.5 years. For Peter's Sasso in semi-free range, I use the Poultry Pro Planner for dual-purpose birds. I enter the feed prices for homemade feed, chick cost, labor, egg price, bird value, etc. The summary shows about 206.5% profit over 1.5 years. This means if Peter invests $100, he gets his money back plus more than $200 profit from eggs and the sale of old birds. Now let's check meat production. I set the egg price to 0 and the tool recalculates automatically. For one 4-month batch, the profit is about 211.5%. If Peter raises 5 batches in 1.5 years, the total profit becomes about 1,057.5%. In simple words, every $100 invested can return more than $1,000 profit. This shows that in Peter's system, raising Sassos for meat gives the highest profit of all the scenarios we have seen. So, after looking at all 4 scenarios, what can we learn? If your goal is eggs only in deep litter system, then layers are the better choice. They eat less, they lay more, and they give you steady profits. But if your focus is meat, then Sasso is the clear winner. In fact, when you raise them in a semi-free range system with homemade feed, the profits can be many times higher than what you'd get with layers. The truth is, the type of feed you use and the system you choose, whether it is deep litter, semi-free range, commercial feed, or homemade feed, makes a very big difference. Now, I have to say this, all the numbers I've shared are based on my own prices. Profit or loss will always depend on costs and market prices in your area. So don't just rely on my figures. Take time to check local prices where you live and then decide which scenario fits your situation best. What works here may not work for you. If you would like to use the same Poultry Pro planners I used in this video, you can download them through the link in the description. I've also updated the Poultry Pro planner for layers, so if you already have it, I'll share the updated version with you. And for those downloading it now, you'll automatically get the new improved version. Before you go, tell me in the comments, are you more interested in raising birds for eggs or for meat? And don't forget to like this video, share it with other farmers, and subscribe so you don't miss the next one.